Right?
Nobody told me I had to follow Jackie. I have no game, okay, guys? So, hello everybody, I'm Juliet Lowe. You can call me J. Lowe. When I was 16, that's my only game. When I was 16, I went to 9 doctors complaining about extreme thirst and also, really bad exhaustion. And they would say to me that, oh, it's just, O-level, it's just stress. Don't be stressed, it's all going to be okay. I ended up taking my entire O-levels in a hospital. I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at that time. My pancreas had died. And so essentially, by the time I got to the hospital, I was already falling into a coma. So there was no cure, essentially. For the rest of my life, I've had to do about 7 blood tests a day. I have to do 5 to 7 injections a day. And I don't think I knew at that time what it meant to have a chronic illness. For me, I thought it was really fun and really cool because I had all these cool gadgets that nobody else had. But I was about to learn what medical discrimination truly meant. So when I first started junior college, I had a day where there was no lunch break in one entire day. So my doctor had to write a letter to my principal saying that, hey, can you give her a 5-minute break just so that she can go out quickly, eat a snack bar, and then come back. And my principal just took one look at me and she went, you want that break? Drop that subject. I'm not allowing you to pull down our school ranking. And then she's like, by the way, do you take PE? Do you take you're in the swim team? Quit that immediately. I don't want you fainting on school grounds and getting us all in trouble. So, then I said to her, no way, I'm not doing it. So for the next 2 years, I basically fought very hard to prove that I deserved to be in that room. So, instead of dropping one A-level subject, I ended up taking 2 S papers. Instead of dropping PE in the swim team, I became the swim team captain. Wow. But I quickly learned also how expensive type 1 diabetes was. About 30 years ago, my bills were about $3,000 to $5,000 every single month, which means that once I graduated and I'm earning $3,000 a month, I'm already dead. So for the next decade, I became this mad overachiever, and I told myself that, hey, I'm desperate to make more money. I'm desperate to be in a country that will allow me to buy insurance. So what did? I studied engineering at NUS in the day school. I studied ACCA at night school. So while I was doing my 2 degrees, I was also giving tuition to 4 kids. I was also a freelance consultant at an auto parts manufacturer in Johor. And then I made it. I really made it. So after graduating in 2005, and after a grueling 17 interviews in 3 countries, I actually ended up getting a job in the US with the largest asset management company in the world at that time. And the Straits Times featured me in, the top graduate story with, hitting 6-figure starting salary. So every 4 months I moved to a different country to work on a different project. I worked in tech, relationship management, I worked in real estate management. And I went from San Francisco to LA, to London, Geneva, Switzerland, Hong Kong, Singapore, and back to London again. And in my very first project, I remember that I got awarded the highest contribution to the company award for a Sarbanes Oxley project. I was at the very top of my game. But after 2 exhausting years of working 16-hour days and flying non-stop, my body just gave up. I was completely exhausted and I started sleeping a lot. And when I mean a lot, I was sleeping 20 hours a day. And test after test, doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. Why I was sleeping 20 hours a day. They said at that time it's chronic fatigue syndrome. But it's just a syndrome, so it's not an actual disease diagnosis. So basically, no cure. And then the company started to drag me in for performance issues, and I was really angry. Because I did so much for you guys, and then, essentially when I get sick and then you just cast me aside like that. I was really, really disappointed with the entire situation. And it got very hostile at work, so I just got to a point where, you know what? I said, I'll just quit. I'll rest for about 6 months, and after that, I'll just find another job in finance. What is so difficult? I have 2 degrees, right? So then I quit my job, but at that time, I didn't know that I ended up sleeping for 20 hours a day for 5 years. So I wake up and I'm already tired. So remember that I said that, I thought I'll rest for 6 months, then I'll come out and I'll work again. That was the biggest joke of the century because I couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And maybe sick people really were useless. I was useless. And what's the point with that life? So I really broke. I went from the absolute top of my game to the absolute rock bottom. And there was just something about just sitting on the sidelines, just watching everybody else's life move on, while you are staying stagnant at a corner. And that was a very, very difficult thing for me. And I became extremely suicidal. So, Lehman Brothers had just collapsed at that time, and there were no jobs left in finance. So the Citigroup stock went from $98 to 98 cents. So I decided I went all in on 98 cents. I was just like, I figured that I've already lost my memory. I needed a reason to die. So once I lose all my money, I can finally go. I couldn't kill myself. I didn't have the courage to do it, so I took very big risks. I was hoping someone else could do it for me. I was a damn coward there. So I backpacked Africa alone. And when Africa didn't kill me, I went to South America. And when South America didn't kill me, I literally backpacked more than 100 countries. And I did everything that I could to basically end my life. I could jump off every gorge that I could. I river rafted every crazy river. And I didn't die. Someone out there didn't want me to die. And it turns out that Citigroup stock didn't crash. It made me a multi-millionaire. And then I started buying property around Canary Wharf and effectively retired at the age of 29. So on my travels, instead of finding death, I found hope and maybe a little bit of shame. Because when I went to Rwanda, people my age in Rwanda, they saw their entire family massacred before their eyes during the Rwandan genocide. And there they were, not complaining about their sad story life. There they were saying, we're advocating for human rights, we're joining Doctors Without Borders, we're saving lives. And then I looked at my life, and what the hell was wrong with my life? I'm rich, I sleep a lot, what's wrong with me?
We're sleeping a long time.
But you see, the thing is, I was very entitled, right? How dare I say that my life sucks? I had no right. And through my travels, I actually found really inspiring people throughout the world, everywhere. And I found myself finding new causes to fight for: women's empowerment, patient advocacy, and I became the voice that other people could speak through. But my life had no value, right? My life had no value. But my life could bring value if only I lived for others and I fought for others. So, the years that followed saw me just doing a wide variety of things after that. So every 3-4 years, I added another property to my portfolio, and then I did a lot of charity fundraising, I did a lot of freelance work, and through quite a lot of psychotherapy and physiotherapy, I ended up sleeping less, just 16 hours a day, not 20. But the depression never really went away, because I always felt like, I'm just losing oxygen, and I just surviving, right? One day I woke up and I realized that, hey, this is not living. 5 years like this cannot be it. So then I said to myself that day, that today I'm either going to do something or I'm really going to end this. So I flew to the US, I had my DNA sequenced. And I compared my high probability illnesses to essentially my symptoms of red and green. And I found it. I think I found it. I went to my GP and I said, test me for this autoimmune condition. And my immune markers were through the roof. And so my immune system was too high. And so it started to find things in my body to attack constantly. And that's why I was so tired constantly, because my body was always constantly attacking itself. And the day that I started mini chemo to bring down my overactive immune system was the day that I actually got my life back. So naturally, I did what every person that's full of newfound energy would do. I ran out and I signed up for the London-Brighton Bike-a-thon that day. 55 miles, no training, took me 10 hours to get to the finishing line. But yeah, I had all this energy and I was like, what am I going to do now, And so I came back to Singapore and I started, looking at other companies. I bought this, failing tech startup. And 2.5 years, the company was acquired for millions. So I was like, life is so good, or so I thought. So 3 years after mini chemo started, my brain felt off. It was very hard to describe what it was because you need a working brain to tell you your brain is working. It started very small. I couldn't split a restaurant bill in half. And mind you, I studied engineering and accounting. I used to be the social butterfly, and then I realized that when I was having conversations, I couldn't even look people in the eye. It felt like my brain was constantly in a fog. I was so embarrassing in social settings, and there were some times where people would tell me that I go into screensaver mode. So I eventually just, I shut my doors. I didn't want to talk to anybody, and I just kept myself indoors for a really long time. One day I remember that I was supposed to go from my house in Canary Wharf to my hospital in London Bridge. And I took a train which is supposed to be one straight line, Jubilee, 4 stops, direct to my hospital. But all I had was visions of me going in and out of trains, just flashes of me going in and out of trains. And 2 hours later, I was in North London, Zone 6. And when I was finally conscious, I was like, oh my God. So I called my hospital, and I said, I'm really sorry, but this was just what happened. I missed my appointment, but I don't know what to do. And they said, come into the hospital immediately. This is brain fog. It's a neurotoxic side effect of the chemo drug, causing dementia-like symptoms. So the doctor essentially said to me, we cannot bring your brain back. You need to go out and do weird, random stuff. Because you have to build new neural pathways and synapses, new ways in which the brain can communicate. So that's what I did. I went to Mongolia to do eagle hunting. I went to learn how to fly a helicopter. They said weird and random, right? So I learned plumbing. I did carpentry. I went to join the opera. And I did musical theater. I even headlined a closing act for a stand-up comedy in Piccadilly Circus. It took about 5 years, but it eventually came back, stronger, with a version 2.0 brain. So I'm happily married right now to one of my tenants for more than 10 years. He saw me through the absolute worst, and together we have, a set of really beautiful twin girls. If I never got sick, I would have never retired at the age of 29. I would still be trying to climb somebody else's corporate ladder. Illness forced me to rethink everything. It led me to entrepreneurship, to speaking, to living with a purpose. And I continue to advocate for patients today. And I've also built a social enterprise called Made Without Borders to help caregivers and patients find mates specific for every single medical condition. So today I no longer ask, why did this happen to me? I turned every adversity into an advantage, but not because I'm some ultra resiliency coach with multiple strategies to share with you to teach you how to cope. But it's just because I never stopped going and going and going. And if you don't stop, you will find your way. You will open new doors. So, if life has closed the door for you recently, maybe you've lost your health, maybe you've lost your job, a relationship, maybe you're wondering what now? I want to leave you with this particular thought, that sometimes the worst thing that ever happened to you is the reason you become the person that you're meant to be. Just don't stop, and thank you very much.